Hello, newcomer.
How's it going, guys?
Okay, that's Coach. Okay, that works. Cool. What's up, Coach?
Well, why don't you ask him the same question?
It's completely black. I don't see shit in here. I may need to refresh.
Why don't you ask him the same question?
You want to send me an outline, Coach?
About the whole thing last night? Oh, man. I woke up this morning to that whole shit show. And, hey, I just want to say hi to Nick Fuentes. I've never actually spoken to the man. He seems all right. How's it going?
Going well. Thanks,
You two ever met?
How's it going with you?
Oh, I'm getting my shit together and restarting the channel tomorrow, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, pretty good. I'm pretty happy. Pretty psyched about the new studio. And, yeah, all good. And just woke up to this shit show, which I found incredibly funny. God damn it, that was fucking funny. Yeah.
Always something.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering when Queen of Paws is going to come back and what his new name is going to be after this shit show.
All he's doing now is retweeting stuff. He didn't nuke his Twitter. I think he's going to stick around, but just kind of hope. He's just going to pop his head out every once in a while. This blown over yet? And then fucking tornado knocks a cow into his mouth, and he's like, okay, fine. Pop his head out another week. Like, is it over yet? This isn't going to be over for a while. Just go and take it, dude.
Yeah. Who's this fucking funny?
You just don't do shady shit on the internet. Don't talk to anybody like you're not being recorded.
Yeah, by definition, everything that you say online, assume it's being recorded. You know, and yeah, and look, frankly, if you have to say shit that you don't want people to know about, don't fucking say it. You know, it's simple as that. It's not complicated.
Is this the first time you two have ever talked?
Who? Me and Fuentes?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually. Yeah. I think
Yes,
that. I just enjoyed a lot of your content, man, and yeah, just looking forward to like the next phases of so many people's careers. I mean, like, you know, everybody seems to be transitioning right now. Oh man, that didn't sound good. That sounded fucking bad.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
True.
Maybe you should transition your cockpits to King of Pole's DMs. Just saying.
Killing me. But Coach, you actually, I think you're the person who brought up Fuentes to me the first time I talked to you.
Oh yeah. I said nice things about him.
Yeah, he didn't say shit. He was, he's a smart young guy, and he was the one who told me that you were like 18. You're a young dude. It's really weird. Like, I looked up a lot of the shit that you've done. You've done all this within how long?
Who, me?
Yeah. How long have you been doing stuff?
I've been doing stuff for about a year and a half now. I've been doing my show America First since last February, but I've been active since about November 2016. So not very long.
Yeah, I think that Nick is like, if I were buying futures, I'd buy futures on Nick. Definitely.
Oh, appreciate it, big guy. Okay. Thank you.
Look at the Coach coin being invested.
Goddamn right. Now I'm gonna invest Coach coin, so you better go out and fucking do Coach posting, Nick, or else you're in trouble, man. Yeah.
Sure.
No Coach coin for you, buddy.
When you start doing all this stuff, like we talked a little bit about it before, but did you jump in with a partner immediately, or was it kind of the Charlottesville thing? That's what got you to where you started doing the America First. Did you do that before or after?
I was doing that before. I had been doing that with the Right Side Broadcasting Network, which they started out doing all the Trump rallies during the election. They would go and wherever they were, they'd film what he was doing. And they got really, really big right after the election because they were making tons of money off of the ad revenue. I think they said at one point they were making like $100,000 every couple of months. It was crazy. But then they got hit with the demonetization right when they were rolling out a whole bunch of original programming, which was like December, January, 2016, 2017. So I've been doing the show since about then. Charlottesville, I got kicked out of RSBN, and then that's when I joined up with James. And we did our America First Media Network, and then that fell apart in January, and I've been solo ever since.
Well, you brought him up. The James thing.
Yeah.
You said that. You said that the way that things went with everything, he just kind of up and just fucked you out of stuff.
Oh, yeah, in a big way. I mean, I respect the grievances that he brought. I think a lot of people have it that it's like, oh, well, Nick won't acknowledge this, Nick is that. You know, his grievance was that I was difficult to work with, which I totally admit, which if you're not doing your job, I am very difficult to work with. I'm probably the most difficult person to work with if you're not holding up your end of the bargain, and that's what was happening. But then he went in, and I don't know how much I'm able to talk about it because there's lawyers involved now and there's legal stuff going on. But I mean, essentially the way that they kicked me out of the company, that's what they say. People have been spreading this rumor that I was like fired. It was in breach of contract. I was an owner, and they tweeted out on the company Twitter account that they had parted ways with me before. You know, you can't do that to an owner if you know anything about business law. So, and especially given our contract. So they basically screwed me out of the company, out of the money.
And Nick, I hate to interrupt, but you and James, I heard you guys were like basically bonding over the whole shit of Baked Alaska, and that you guys were like smoothing things over. Yeah, I'm wondering if you know it would be best served for both your interests to sort of like, you know, let this thing lie for a bit and sort of like sort it out privately. Because I think a lot of people are like sorting out their business issues in public, and I think it hurts everybody, especially the people who are participating. But that's just me. You know, I'm looking at the Andy JF situation, which I know Tonka and I have talked about privately, but I don't think that. I mean, my private opinion.
We talk about it publicly. It's the same thing I said publicly. It's the same thing Jim said last night. It's the same. Everybody said the same shit, and it pisses me off that fucking Captain IQ can't put this together.
Yeah. I mean, those fuckers, those two guys who I appreciate both of them in equal measure because they've both been very kind to me in different opportunities. But I say this affectionately, those two fuckers should just kiss and make up because they had a beautiful thing going. You know what I'm saying? Well, and I think that this
kiss and make up. It doesn't even have to be there, Coach. It don't even have to get to kiss and make up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fucking wake up and smell the roses.
Yeah.
Wake up and fucking somebody go collect the fucking fruit from the money tree, you dumb fucks. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. It seems to me that a lot of people, a lot of partnerships work better together, and that they should just like talk about it like fucking grown-ups in private, you know, fix their situations and get back on the horse together. You know, I mean, I'm fucking mixing my metaphors like all over the place, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Well, you know, I wanted to do that, believe me, and we had been having issues for a couple of months. I mean, we had the Thought Wars in December, which almost split the company up because in their eye, I was. What's that?
How long were you guys together?
We were together probably, I think, September through to January, so not very long. But we almost came apart during Thought Wars. We came apart in January, and we had been having a pretty bad problem for about a week. And then they just decided, okay, we're splitting up. And without calling me, without texting me, I mean, one of them tried to call me. One of the partners tried to call me exactly one time, and then I didn't pick up. And so they said, okay, company's over. But I tried as hard as I could, you know, to keep it together. But they had made their decision, and I didn't want to make it public either, but they tweeted it out. We had been having problems for about a week. And then they tweeted out after I hadn't spoken with them for days and days and days, okay, we're moving on away from Nick and blah, blah, blah. And even with the Baked Alaska stream, I thought we were bonding over that. I thought we were coming back together over that. We were like we had a big, you know, blood sports, and we had it out. And then it was cathartic in many ways when we came back together. And I said, look, we can come back together, but the ball's in your court. You have my money. You have my property. I'm still invested in this company. You're really fucking me over. And I said, look, the ball is in your court. If you want to take the high road, you want to be the bigger person, you think it's bad for the movement, then take care of it. Do what's right. Do what's right by me. Do what's right by the company, and make good on the deal that you made in January. Because after the split, they said, okay, look, we'll give you this, that, and the other, and you can go from the company. I said, okay. And then they never followed up on that. And so I said, look, make good on your offer that you made in January, and we'll be okay. I get an email literally the next day. Many people didn't hear about this, but after that big stream where we quote unquote made up, I get an email the next day from the other partner in the company saying, give in to our demands or we will sue you in federal court. Okay, so these are the fucking people I'm dealing with, where I said, I'm willing to forgive, I'm willing to let go. We may even go on a stream together, but you have to do what's right. I made that company something like $5,000, and so far I've gotten zip, And so it's like, make good on the offer you made. You got to make right what you made wrong.
Yeah. I get your point. Like everybody who's in business, they always have disagreements. It's a natural part of things that you disagree and you get pissed off and you feel that you're getting, less than your fair share and what have you. But the point I'm trying to make is that, see, wouldn't it be better to have this conversation privately and not air it out? Because, when you air out your shit in public, you solidify your position in such a way that you find yourself, in order to not lose face, the different sides find that they can't, back down because they've said shit in public, and so it hinders their ability to negotiate, to come to a solution.
Well,
okay?
If I'm right, did this all get blasted out in public right as it happened? I thought that this all kind of started to come out after the fact.
No, this is how it really even started. It
played out like Dave and Andy, kind of.
Well, yeah, basically, because, and not even like Andy and JF, because JF made a whole video about his problems with Andy, and then they had a stream together where they were like, okay, let's sort this out. Me and James, we were still doing our podcast while we were fighting. We had been fighting for about a week. And then they put it on social media, him and the other partner, saying Nick is kicked out of the company, blah, blah, blah. And obviously that's something where it's very embarrassing for me. It's my company. The company was called America First Media. My show was called America First for a year. So I had to put out a response on Periscope. I came into the Discord server that we shared to give my side of the story. I got kicked out of that, where they were talking to all of our people about it. So I wanted to I hear you. I would have preferred 100% to do it in private. I even told Andy and JF on their separate streams, you should have sorted this out in private. You should sort all your issues out in private. But when they make it public like that, it's like they leave me no choice. They get a vote as well. So I wish it could have gone down like that, but they obviously... They wanted to shame me. They wanted to, I guess, embarrass me. I don't really know what the motive was, but they tweeted out like that exactly 3 minutes after they sent me an email saying, you're out of the company. So I hadn't even read the email when I see on my timeline, you're out of the company that you founded. So, yeah.
Okay, see, all right, that's an easy way to piss a dude off.
Okay? Thank you. Exactly.
I've never met anyone who found out they were fired on social media who was ever okay with it. I've never met that fucking guy. You want to know, you at least want to be able to, you're told first. I don't know. I've never been able to. I don't know. I don't grasp that. Let's fucking not tell the guy. Let's tell the world real quick. Let's make sure they're the last fucking guy to know.
Yeah.
That's a recipe to make someone mad.
And then they emailed me after, like, look, we tried to be congenial with you. We thought it could just be friendly. Really? And it's not even like I was an employee. If I was an employee, you could say that's a good way to make somebody mad. They probably shouldn't have done that. But I'm an owner. So not only is it a shitty thing and disrespectful and all the rest and just generally unprofessional, but it's basically illegal, So that's the other thing.
Well, all right. Here's a question that I have, and this would be kind of a problem that would be exclusive to you. Do you think that some of this shit comes from? And I'm not trying to prescribe something on you, but just you don't want to be condescended to simply because of your age,
right? And
feel like he's trying to daddy you. Is there an element of that? Like if I'm throwing that on there and it's not there, but he's trying to talk down to you, and is that part of it?
Well, that definitely happens. That definitely happens. I mean, even since then, they've made it a point to say oh, look, you're a 19-year-old kid. You're 19, blah, blah, blah. And so kind of, but even if we were this, I mean, I think that's part of it. Even during the Thought Wars, there was always kind of this doting, patronizing tone that they took. And that was always very frustrating because I think 9 times out of 10, I had more sound judgment, not only on the content of the podcast in terms of the politics, but also how we ran the business, how we operated with other people. I think I was the most sound judgment there. And throughout, I got this patronizing kind of talk behind the scenes about like, Nick, you're out of control. Nick, you're doing this, you're doing that. You're young. You have a lot to learn. And I said, look, I've done far more successful by myself. I think that speaks to who turned out to be right. But I think that definitely that was the part where they were being patronizing. That's also, I think, one of those things I'm a little bit sensitive to, if you might not have been able to tell already.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. In any kind of situation, in any kind of dispute, right? A real important issue is to figure out, well, where am I weak? What's the thing that's like, pressing my buttons? What's getting me out of my, getting me a little bit pissed off here? Okay, and you got to make sure that doesn't influence your decisions in the wrong way. Look, I've spoken with James Allsup a couple of times. Okay, I don't know your third business partner, but I've spoken to James a couple of times. Insofar as my dealings with him, he seems like a great guy. Insofar as my dealings with you, you seem like a great guy. I think that you're both incredibly talented, and I think that you guys both are going to be around for a long fucking time. Now, I'm 50. I'm an old fart, right? I'm easily old enough to be your dad's, right? Now, I'll tell you, from my point of view, it's always best. I mean, you're pissed off at some fucker, he fucked you over, but sometimes it's better to keep your fucking mouth shut insofar as public is concerned, and just try to talk to the guy and just figure out a way to get to what you both want. Okay, you guys aren't going to be working together, fine, right? But there's no reason to burn bridges. I think, and this is something that I've learned by hard experience. I think that Tonka can back me up on this, and Halsey too. You get going through life, and sometimes you realize that, you burned that bridge way behind you, and at the time you thought it was a fucking good idea because, fuck that asshole, right? But then later, some years have passed, and maybe just a few months, and all of a sudden you realize, shit, if I hadn't burned that bridge, I could use that fucker right now. My suggestion to you, okay, I mean, and I mean this like hoping that you guys work it out, just like, don't fucking burn bridges. You're not going to be working together, fine, but try to maintain a relationship, even if it's never going to be as close or as business-like as before. Just try to don't burn completely any bridges, especially with people who are on your side insofar as politics and your political goals long term. Okay, because you both are going to be around a long fucking time. Okay, so I mean, look. If I'm talking out of my ass, man, just shut me down now. But I'm just a friendly suggestion, and take it as such.
I appreciate the suggestion, but I'm a big believer in burning bridges. This is my reputation, but I try my hardest to have good relationships with people. I try my hardest to mend relationships, but I think where the misunderstanding comes in is that bridges have to go both ways. A bridge that goes out.
I'm not saying that you should be like a fucking pushover. Okay, I'm not saying that at all. Okay, you want to fight for what you think is right, and you say it clearly, and it is right, and fuck the other guy. Okay, I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this to James Allsup. I'm just saying in general, right? I'm not saying be a pushover. I'm saying, if you're gonna end a relationship, don't end it catastrophically. Okay.
Right. I definitely think burning bridges is good. I gave Andy that advice. By the way, hey Halsey, how you doing, man?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
Oh, excellent, Mr.
Dude,
Halsey joined us.
What round is this? Is it round 2 or 3 between you two?
This would be round 2, I believe.
This would be round 2, and it was my age and my religion that made Nick uncomfortable last time. So I wanted him to be a little comfortable, so I made sure to make him comfortable this time.
Oh, that's
so I'm all dressed up, ready to go.
That's actually a good troll. I got to be honest. The Wignats are going to eat that up. The Spurgs from Gab are really going to enjoy that one.
Okay, now we can have some fun.
Here we go.
Here we go.
How do you feel about burning bridges, Halsey?
If it needs to be burned, it needs to be burned. To be honest with you, I don't think there's anything to be gained from being nice in a situation where people aren't being nice. But I don't think airing it in public is the greatest idea, just because that can be used against you no matter what. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you freak out and say something that you probably shouldn't have said in private, then it's kind of he said, she said. So
yeah. It's exactly the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I mean I just would ask anybody who's considering the issue with me and James, if somebody had you work for free for 4 months and raise something like the better side of $5,000, and then they unceremoniously remove you from that equation, publicly embarrass you, and you get cut out of that and have nothing to show for it. I mean, I would just think you'd have a much different idea about burning bridges if that were the case. I mean, and look, it's not about the money at the end of the day. It really isn't. I wouldn't be doing this if I cared about money. I'd be in school, I'd get my degree, I'd be a fucking consultant. But it's just sort of about the principle that I worked for months and months doing my show every day, and literally for $0 except for what people would donate to me on the side. Whereas James had his own channel, he was on TRS. He didn't get paid for TRS, but he was doing that too, and he neglected his thing for the company. And so that's why it's just very difficult when he goes out there, he makes a video about it, he releases that statement beforehand. I would have, I guess there's two issues there, private versus public and burning bridges. Private versus public, I prefer private. They launched it in public. In terms of burning bridges, you have to look at the situation, which in that case, I think it's a special case where I would say it's very hard to reconcile even when me and James got to a point where we were friendly on that Baked Alaska stream. I thought we had buried the hatchet. I thought maybe I'd get an email the next day that would say, hey, look, we're going to make good on our offer and we're going to do you right. We're going to do good by you. Let's put this behind us. Instead, I get the opposite. I get a threat. They're going to sue me in federal court. And I know so many people after that stream, they said, it's such a good thing Nick and James got back together. This is great. They're bonding again. Finally, we could put this stupid shit behind us. I thought the same thing. I was ready to even appear on a stream. And then I get an email. Then they could wait 24 hours before they threatened to sue me. And really? I mean, come on. That's where you lose me. So it's been a real wild ride with them, but it's still not over. The ball is in their court too. So
what is the story with putting out that he's fired out to the public before he knew?
What do you mean? What's the story?
Well, I was going to ask him. What was his reasoning? How did that play out?
I don't know how. Well, we had been having issues for the prior week, just about really stupid, minuscule shit. And on the Tuesday and Wednesday before, I'll give you the timeline. It was we did our show on Saturday. Tuesday and Wednesday, it really blows up. And I'm calling both of them. I think I was calling the other partner whose name was Matt. I'm texting both of them. I'm calling both of them. Nobody's picking up the phone. Nobody's responding to my text. Days and days go by. I get a call on Friday, and I ignore it because they're ignoring my calls. And then on Sunday, I see a tweet in my timeline, Nick is gone from the company. I check my email 3 minutes before that was tweeted out. The same message. So, I mean, that's, and people are going to say oh, it's stupid. It shouldn't end. The ball is firmly on the other side and has been for months. If I get past the ball, I'm going to do what I can to mend the relationship, to mend the schism. But, that's just it throughout the whole timeline. It's bad decisions from the other side, in my opinion.
Is that I gotta assume you've got a different take, James.
Is James here?
It looked like he was.
Was he?
I didn't see him here.
No, he's not here.
Oh, damn it.
Did you bring him in? Did you invite him in?
Who, James? No.
Yeah.
I'll send him the link if you want me to send him the link.
I don't care to do blood sports with him again. It would probably...
I thought that's what it said.
No,
I can't read anything that you're typing to me. Stop typing to me.
I'm not typing you shit.
The shit in the side chat.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
That makes no sense.
No, I was asking Halsey. Halsey if that was him.
Okay. Oh yeah, because my avatar has my middle name on it.
Okay.
Calm down, man.
Look, in the end, when I get the whole PR thing of the best defense is a good offense, so they went on the offense against Nick, which was, I don't know, in my opinion, pretty stupid. But in a sense, that they open up a lot of doors for you because, I mean, look, we've had our disagreements, but you've got a lot of talent. when it comes to this stuff. And when it comes down to it, like, if you want to go into like not as much a mainstream type of thing, but if you want to get more mainstream, that's always available to you. And having people like fuck you over like that in public is a good, you know, kind of resume piece. Like, look, I stuck to my guns. This is who I am. I did good for the company, and then they decided to act like 2-year-olds. You know, so.
Well, thank you, Halls. It's a good point, and it's true. And even particularly with someone like James, you know, I never had anything against the guy. Even during the split, it was mostly me and this other partner. I got to say, me and James have had our disagreements in the past, but I think we're both very thick-skinned in that even if you watch that Bloodsports, we gave it to each other really hard. Okay, that's a great sound clip. I mean, we gave the bands.
How hard did it? Was it so hard that King of Pole showed up?
Yeah, right. Yeah, him or whatever his name is, the Naked Ape and all of them. Yeah, but I mean, we delivered the bands really hard, but we both came together. I think there's a friendliness there. I think there's camaraderie because we both essentially do the same thing. We're both, you know, ostensibly in the same movement. But I will say, somebody like James has made some unfortunate optical decisions where people in the past have said you can't really get an audience with the alt-right or with more moderate people with somebody like James. You know, as much as I, you know, me and him agreed on a lot of things, he's over there with Identity Europa. He was doing speeches with Spencer, very visible with, you know, the hard right. And so it's in that way, it's also, I think, a big opportunity as well.
Does anybody disagree? I mean, I don't know. I think having somebody there who doesn't agree with everything makes things a little easier and more palatable in a lot of movements. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're just nothing but an echo chamber, then nobody listens to you. It just becomes the same thing over and over and over again, and no one tunes into that for long.
Yeah, sometimes people want to be told a little shit. Like they want to be told, you know, well, I don't agree with everything you say. I agree with 99% of what you say. That way they can do the old, well, I don't disagree with everything this person, or I don't agree with everything they're saying.
Right.
Yeah, that always kind of helps people to validate almost everything that they try to have to say. Every case, it's like, well, I don't agree with everything they say, but I agree with this and this and this and this.
Yeah, me and James, we argued a lot even on the show about political stuff. It got very heated a lot, and it made for an entertaining show, I think, because you got two pretty different perspectives, but coming from the same place. But Halsey, I will say you are right in your criticism of the alt-right as an echo chamber. I think that's their biggest problem right now, because you go on Gab, for example, and I've been shitposting all day on Gab, and you see that it's all the same people talking all the same stuff. And that's what drags somebody like Paul Nealon into this purity spiral, because there's nobody in there saying, hey, maybe this is a bad idea. Maybe you should think a little bit more carefully about this. You saw what happened to Ricky Vaughn for the same reason. So that's their biggest problem right now. They become ghettoized. They're all isolated by themselves, talking in each other's ears. It's creating this very rapid purity spiral. And so it's one of those structural problems. So I agree with you on that.
It's funny because that's what everybody, like people like Sargon and all them, were kind of preaching at the beginning of all these blood sport matches, that when they got real popular, that this would devolve into a purity spiral, and no one assumed it would even be this fast. But I mean, it really has gotten to the point where like you can't even make a solid argument anymore. There's just dogma that can't be breached.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I haven't been watching the blood sports very much because it's a lot of drama, but definitely in the broader, like, because you're not as somebody who is, I don't know, included in that mix up a lot. I mean, people really don't understand the pressure that exists to go further all the time, always further, always more radical, always saying more extreme stuff, associating with more extreme people, more extreme symbols. And Baked Alaska, when he first kind of went off the reservation, when all that kind of started, was when he called the chat toxic. And I don't know, in many ways I agreed with him. I know Mr. Medicare took umbrage to that. He said, oh, you're disavowing your audience that made you who you are. But anybody who's in this movement will tell you, you get these comments where it's just it's beyond the pale. And is it people who want to have a future with sensible
so what?
people?
No, is Nick there? I'm on the Medicare's side, because there's always going to be some asshole who throws some grenade into the live chat and says all kinds of nasty shit. Okay, and to fall for that, and it's just foolish. You just got to ignore it. Okay,
Yeah,
I mean, somebody calls your mother some awful thing. Yeah, what are you supposed to do? Fight the guy? No, just forget about it. Just ignore it. Just let your eyes glaze over that shit and move on to something that's more interesting.
Well, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point, but it was Sargon himself who made a fool of himself when he said, "Oh, couldn't the live chat act with more decorum? I think I've earned it." With this pompous British accent.
Personally, I don't care about the fucking people that come in and say shitty things. It's the obsessed ones that fucking come in every fucking day, and I'm like, ugh.
Oh, it's funny. Come on, man. When those guys go on and on and on, leaving comments day after day, you got to admire that kind of, single-minded persistence or obsessive compulsive disorder. Take your pick. It's fucking funny. Okay,
Yeah.
you gotta go roll with it. I mean, I just think it's funny.
Look, I've hate watched things.
When some guy says shit about me, and I'm the easiest guy in the world to make fun of, because I'm a balding, paunchy 50-year-old fuck. Of course, it's easy to make fun of me.
Yeah.
So what? It's just funny, And somebody's wasting that amount of time obsessing over you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't take it seriously, and I certainly don't take it personally.
My thing with it is I understand I hate watching shit, but at a certain point it's like, there's so many other things I could be fucking doing with the day. Why would you just fucking come in every fucking single day like a fucking routine?
Yeah. Oh, but live chat, fuck you. You guys are calling me boomers. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm not a boomer. I'm Gen Xer, you little shits.
That's so. I mean, it is true though that sometimes jokes seem to spiral out of control. For some reason, JF and Andy have both seized on the fact that Andy made a joke, which I took as a joke, which I actually thought was funny. And he came on when he was on JF's show. I made a joke back at him about people hating him because he calls people porch Jew. And I immediately said in the chat right afterwards that I was kidding. And they both took it so seriously. They've mentioned it a couple times on their subsequent streams that I was so offended or that this was so unprofessional. I took it as a joke the whole time. I mean, I've never had anything against Andy, nor do I now.
Well, my problem is not so much with live chats. It's not because you'll notice on my show people say people say just weird shit in my chat. There's one guy who goes into the chat every day and talks about how he's going to eat his wife's ass. Okay, every night, and that's all he posts. And I don't even look at the live chat. This is what people tell me. They say there's some guy who's just always talking about eating ass in your chat. And so I don't even watch it. I don't even pay attention. But I'm talking about people, for example, like Cantwell, who he goes on Gab and he posts memes where it's just it's beyond the point where it's funny. It's just sick. And then I'm just not into that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the...
Cantwell he's pathetic. I mean, why bother with the guy? Really, he's just a pathetic loser. What is he?
Well, that's a thing, though. That's a thing. And yet he appears on the James Alsop show, the Baked Alaska show, the Andy Orski show. We have to set standards.
Yeah, you have to have a piñata to beat at, right? If you just give people sticks but no piñata, it's no fun. And Chris Cantwell, he's the piñata. Let's kick the guy. Let's hit the guy. Let's have some fun. Let's hit him until he cracks open. When was the last time? He was on BA's channel, and some guy. I knew this fact, but I didn't have the wit at the time to tell him to his face. But some other guy came on and said, "Oh, you're all about being a race traitor and blah blah blah." But wasn't your significant other non-white? And he rage quit after that. That was fucking funny. And you need a piñata, and so that's my thinking.
I would just never associate with somebody like that. I think
neither would I.
Because the problem is this. Maybe that's why we see it differently. My show, for example, is about a political movement, so maybe it's a little bit different because it's different shows. But for me to have somebody like Cantwell on my show, that would affirm every negative stereotype. I mean, that the SPLC would probably pay me to have Cantwell on my show because it would make it so much easier for them to discredit me. And people might say, oh, well, they'll call you racist anyway. They'll call you this anyway. They'll call you. And that's all true. But if particularly, and that's why it's different for my show, if you're trying to appeal to normal people with a nationalist message about mass migration, about this, that, and the other, and maybe they can suspend their disbelief of SPLC and ADL and say, okay, I can tolerate this guy in a suit who's talking about why immigration probably is not a bad idea, or not a good idea, rather. But then you get somebody on there who's talking about aborting black babies and talking about killing the children who were at the anti-gun protest. I mean, maybe it's a joke, but that kind of stuff is disgusting to me as a Christian person. Not to virtue signal, but you bring somebody like that on the show and it just poisons the well. And so it's not so much about the live show, it's about setting some kind of standards, you know?
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't even see a value in debate with someone like him.
Exactly.
I mean, JF and Andy asked me if I would jump on there for a minute, and Cantwell kind of freaked out, like, no, I want to set up like a one-on-one debate. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm not interested in that. You know?
No, yeah, but forget about Cantwell. I completely understand what you guys are doing. I mean, in the sense of you don't want to, have your show poisoned, as you said. You don't want to poison the well. Yeah, that's understandable. But in general, you have to understand that this neck of the woods of the internet, it's a wild ride. And that's the way it is, and that's why it's more exciting. It's more interesting. There isn't any kind of orthodoxy here.